Now on to the Women's Series, which completed the week of darts in Barnsley last week. Lisa Ashton and Fallon Sherrock securing Ali Pali returns at the end of this year. Will this be the first year that both ladies win their first match at the PDC World Championship?
I mean, until we see the draw, I'm just guessing. But there's not a player that either of those two could draw that they couldn't beat. And there isn't a player, I'll go a step further, there isn't a player either of them could draw that it would be that much of a surprise for them to beat. There's some that would be a decent bit of a surprise depending on who's in the top 32. I mean, you look at players who right now are just outside or just barely inside the top 32 who would take some beating. Adrian Lewis is just outside. Callan Ritz is just outside. Ross Smith is just outside. Just inside is Kim Heibrecht. All players that we've mentioned other than Adrian Lewis, although we could have mentioned Adrian Lewis. He just made a final in this past week. But all players that we either did or could have mentioned for playing really well right now and are probably playing at a level higher than Lisa Ashton or Fallon Sherrock are currently at. But on the other side of the coin, on their day, they are definitely capable of beating them and beating them 3-0. But it's going to depend who they draw and how they play on the given day. Lisa Ashton was a little inconsistent at the weekend. She went out early a few times, but also she might have a little bit less confidence right now than Fallon Sherrock because she's taken a bit of a beating on the Pro Tour this year. Not that she had great results last year. She had some, and she, made a board final back near the back end of the year and had some good scalps, but still hasn't fully found her feet on the Pro Tour. She can beat anyone on a given day, but more often than not, she is going out. Fallon Sherrock hasn't been taking those beats and just came through a World Series event in Copenhagen where she made the final and came within a few legs of lifting the title. So obviously playing with more confidence right now and at times just playing with more consistency than Lisa Ashton. And that consistency is what makes Fallon such a difficult draw for anyone. Lisa, we know her A game can beat anyone in the world. And if she brings it, then she'll win it for the first time on the Ali Pali stage, at least unless her opponent also brings his. I don't know. Until we see the draw, I don't know. But you do have the two best women in the world competing. And that's the first time that we've been able to say that. No offense to some of the qualifiers in past years. But Dita Hedman wasn't the second best or best woman last year. And Anastasia Dobromyslova, while she for a long time was the best woman in the world, as was Dita Hedman if you go back 15, 20 years. Arguably, she was the best or second best. But Anastasia is not the player she was a decade ago. This year, we have the two best. And therefore, the expectations should be that they do as well or better than they've ever done before.
Yeah, I'm going to come back to that best in the world as far as the ladies players in the next question. But I think I agree. We do have the two best ladies currently in the game that have got those two spots at the World Championship at Ali Pali at the end of the year, Lisa Ashton and Fallon Sherrock. And they did continue to dominate over the weekend, maybe not as dominant as they were in the first weekend. We did see Mikuri Suzuki win the last title of the weekend, but aside from that, we saw Fallon win 3 more titles, Lisa pick up a couple of titles as well, and they were ahead in the averages, weren't they, at 85 for Fallon over the 11 events for her. She pulled out of the last one. Lisa Ashton, 84 average across the 12 events she played in all of them, and we saw during those 12 events that they were capable of throwing in the 90 averages, high 90 averages, low 100 averages in some cases. And okay, yes, it is different playing on the floor to playing on the stage, but you just look at what these two players have done in the last 12 months on the stage. We saw Lisa Ashton, we go back to the start of the year, throwing the ton plus average against Darren Beanie in the UK Open. Okay, there was no crowd there, but we saw all the TV cameras were there. It was a big achievement for more history in the ladies' game. And Fallon, as you said, getting to the final a month or so ago now in the World Series and playing at a top level in that final as well, 96 average she finished up with, and she did come very close to winning that title as well. So, yeah, I agree. Without looking at the draw, it is difficult to say here and now, before we even enter November, that these two are going to win their first round games. But I think when you look at the odds when they do eventually come out for the draw, if it's a similar draw to what these ladies would have got in the past, I think the odds will be shorter for them to win these matches. And that just shows how far these two have come in the last couple of years. They have continued to improve. And Lisa, okay, yeah, she's not done as well on the Pro Tour as she's done in this Women's Series, but she is capable of throwing those big averages. And when it's a short format like a first to 3 sets, she's come close before. Last year against Adam Hunt, just lost out 3-2 in that one. Fallon, we know that she can sustain that level for long periods as well. So, yeah, without looking at the draw, it's hard to say they are going to do it. Maybe we'll have to come back to this one when the draws does come out. But I think just based on what we have seen from these two over the last 12 months, and indeed in some cases on the Women's Series, the last 2 weekends that they've played on it, they are very much live contenders in that first round draw.